Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Romance of the Three Kingdoms 12. I'm the Mysterious JG, and last time, after a lot of foostering about and talking about whether I was going to ignore the capacity in this game to just let plot events play themselves out, or whether I was going to try to advance ahead of the game and take advantage of certain situations, I realized that in fact, by doing almost nothing, I actually will advance at least to the point where Jihao Dun has his forced cosmetic surgery, and I still could potentially try to take Lu Bu's territory manually. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up. Like at this point, with the troop counts I have, trying to advance into other territories is going to mean that I'm going to have thinly defended territories that could fall prey to enemies anyway. So the smart move for me is probably just to chillax for a bit. But I think there is some more plot stuff coming. So at some point I will break from the in-game story events that are going... Usually for Cao Cao, they're to your benefit, at least until we get to like the Battle of Chirpy, and I don't know if plot events will take us that far. But if it feels like I'm just taking advantage and letting the game give me an easy starting point, I just want to point out for the record. Off screen, I already won with a weaker force than Cao Cao's on normal difficulty. I had problems on hard difficulty, but as we start seeing tactics used, not really tactics so much as strategies, not really in-battle tactics, but larger on-map strategies once they come into play, I'll explain how that's one of the game mechanics that isn't translated and I haven't worked out all that well. At any rate, we now have 8 officers in the city because as we ended our last video, Cao Cao and the gang arrived. So we have... Do we have 2 academies? We have an academy. Where's the other academy? Oh, it's up here. Okay, yeah, I knew that I'd placed them oddly. So, you generally want to get to researching new technologies as fast as possible because they will have permanent increases to your force in some way. So, the earlier you can get rolling with them, the longer you'll have for them to benefit. Meanwhile, Guojia is going to give us a tutorial on how this works that is not translated. And rather than trying to second guess what he's talking about, he's explained it to us here that you need 2 academies. But by and large, I'm just going to wait till we actually get to the screen and then explain it to you. So these are the different things that we can research. There is a special one. This is available only to Cao Cao or a handful of rulers. These, the red and the blue, are generic. Everybody can research them. Although, as I found when I'm playing around with playing the game as the non-Mon King Meng Huo, in fact, you don't necessarily for every ruler. It might depend on the ruler's, who the ruler is. It might depend on some stat or other, but they don't all go up to the same level. Like Meng Huo can only research like 2 levels of income or so. Cao Cao has access to the full 5. You can see up here, Cao Cao can increase cavalry's defense by 5, and the same goes for infantry and archer defense. The attacks only go up by 4. I thought I remember them being 5 each for other rulers. But then the third bonus, you can increase attack or defense for infantry, basically spearmen, attack or defense for cavalry, attack or defense for archers, and then there's a third skill for each. Infantry damage, I don't really know what that means. It's different from attack. It might just be that you can boost their attack even farther than you can boost attack for the others. Cavalry speed can be increased, but there's not really that many situations I would think where that's useful, because you usually want to keep your army kind of together. Unless you're talking about making like a lightning strike against the enemy's camp during a fight. That's probably not that big. Archer range increase, however, would be really very useful because archers become key in city siege battles. And guess what, folks? In this game, every battle is a city siege battle. There are no open field battles in the game, because it's like Risk. You're always invading or defending a territory. There's nothing where armies just meet in the field, and the winner of that battle doesn't end up owning a space. So for Cao Cao, his specialty is goods, which translated means more food, 5% per level. I don't know for sure about this 5% thing. It seems to be uniform across anything that's boosted. But the costs go up each time you increase, so... you know, if you're paying more and more gold and you need higher and higher skilled officers to get each 5% increase to archery, that's literally true. I don't know if you're really going up 5% each time if that's not quite true. If I increased goods, I guess somebody could very carefully look at my numbers and try to figure it out for me, but I'm not all that worried about it. South specialty is goods increase, which to me didn't seem as useful. Sorry, it's food increase. It means you're getting more food for the same amount and level of farms. Food is required basically to engage in battle. What little guidance I've found in English on the internet suggests that this isn't terribly important. I've been able to get by without having... Like, your food will pile up if you go for a while without fighting, but you can find yourself in situations where you don't have enough food. You're being attacked and you don't have enough food to wield your full army in defense, and that's bad news. So you definitely... I mean, let's put it this way. All of these skills are going to be positive. Some are of more value than others. There is no harm whatsoever in having your granaries filling faster. Yuan Shao, though, had something where I believe it was that his barracks recruited troops more quickly, and that was, on the surface, to me, that appeared to be a lot more useful. And I haven't played the game enough times to really determine if my initial thoughts there were wrong. So you can boost your stats for your various unit types. Tools. You need to have your tools researched to level 1 before you can build rams, and it needs to go to level 3 before you can build catapults. But I honestly don't know what the other steps in this do, if they increase the effectiveness of your siege weapons or not. Generally, by the time I've conquered most of China, I'll have pushed this to 5 anyway, just in my hopes that it's doing something to improve my catapults. But I don't honestly know. There's no new siege unit that becomes available at level 5. Unless... I have never played as a 4th with Zhuge Liang in it. Maybe you can get Juggernauts, but only if you have Zhuge Liang. I don't know. That's in another RPG. Convoy reduces consumption. I believe that means that you can field more troops for the same amount of food than if you don't increase this. Healed troops recover faster, because in this game there is a mechanic where troops are wounded during battle. So you will have a troop count in a city plus a wounded count, and as those wounded troops heal, they increase your available troops. So without understanding really the details of how that works, how quickly they heal, there can be no harm in increasing their rate at which they heal. Income, straight up, increases your gold. So, you know, the same level and number of markets, you're getting more gold. This one I almost always max. Cost, reduces cost of extension. You will recall that we can go to upgrade, and we have the option of spending 1,000 gold to make this thing go from producing 300 troops as its base rate of production to 360. So obviously, if you research cost, then it doesn't cost as much to increase things. I don't usually touch this one. I usually prefer to just straight up increase income. But if you're going to use this, then it makes sense to do it as early as possible before you spend a lot of gold increasing things. But, I mean, there's 8 to 12 hexes in each of these territories. By the time you rule most of China, you are not going to be just taking the time, if anything else, to increase everything to the max. So raise increases 5% per level. I think this is troop recruitment. I don't know that for sure, but I think that's troop recruitment. So I usually, even though I don't know for 100% that's what it does, by the end of a game, if I win, I mean, if I've been at it long enough to win the game, I'm probably going to have to max this out close to it. Fame, your fame increases 5% per level. Fame comes from, I guess, from events, but it also comes from having guard stations with famous officers running them. Increasing your fame is good because it makes it easier to hire more officers, and as I pointed out in previous videos, even more than any other RTK game I've played, not that I've played that many of them. There is a Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all. There is no officer whose skills are so bad that he's not gonna, be worth keeping around if, you just put him in a backwater and use him to increase, what one of your buildings is doing. I mean, I guess in theory, somebody's gold income per turn someone's gold that you pay them per turn could be more than they can increase at market, but I don't think it happens that often. Having any officer, regardless of how crappy they are, working a facility increases it greatly. So you want to be able to hire officers. Bargain influences what you can do in diplomacy, but diplomacy, again, is one of the game mechanics that I haven't done much with because, without a really strong English translation, it's kind of hard to work with. So I know just enough to kind of work my way through. When they offer me something, I can usually figure it out. And this isn't really a translation problem. This is a perennial thing with a Three Kingdoms game. When I offer something to a computer ruler and try to make some kind of exchange, they invariably want something ridiculously more valuable than what I'm asking them for before they'll agree. And I don't think, as Grimmeth will be relieved to hear, I don't think there's any value in just sending gold to Sun Xuan in this game, because I don't think you really influence the AI's behavior. There's no gifting that I know of. I mean, you can go to diplomacy and offer them something and ask nothing in return, but I don't know if there's any effect to that, so I haven't played with it. At any rate, with each level that you research something, the requirements increase. As you can see, you need an infantry officer, because each officer... There's the great Shihao Yuan. He will be an archery officer, of course. Army archer. Oh, I didn't actually mean to go all the way back. Whereas he's probably an archer too, I would think. But Lord Cao Cao is a cavalry general. And the lovely Bian Shi is also a cavalry general. I'm trying to look for a... I don't seem to have any infantry generals here. He's infantry, although he's not really a combat general with a war score that low. Not a bad leader score, but with a war score that low, he's not really a combat general. But yeah, so this is tied to this officer. You can't change this as far as I know. So in order to research the technologies associated with these different unit types, you need to have an officer of that. You need two officers of that type. One to work at each academy. And as you can see, in order to increase our cavalry, if we were to do that, we would get... And I think the intelligence works into how quickly the research is completed, but these two guys are both cavalry generals, so one of them would work at each academy to complete that research. And you need... I'd never actually noticed this before. I believe the average war between the two of them needs to be over 60. I always thought that you needed two guys with a war over 60. But no, looking at it now, I think it's the average has to be over 60. If I were to research this, and I'd spend 1,000 gold, if I were to research this when it was completed, I would have one block filled in, sort of yellowish color. And this would still be here, but the war requirement would now be, I believe, 65. And the gold goes up to like 4,000. And research it again, your war requirement is going to be like 70 or so, or it might jump up faster than that. Your gold requirement is going to go up to like 9,000. So if you want to max out one thing, it becomes very expensive. Minor increases across the board are going to be much more cost effective, but you run into the old adage. Do you want to be really good at something and focus all your tactics around a real strength, or do you want to just kind of be okay at everything, not great at anything? It's a decision that only you can make. Choose wisely. Anyway, I pretty much invariably start with income, although when it comes time to research something else after income, I doubt I will do income twice in a row, because income will become more expensive. The other possibility is to go with cost first. I've never done that, but go cost right off the bat. Because I do know I am going to be spending a couple of turns not expanding here because I want to let the plot events take their course. So this is not normally what I do, but I might start with cost. Other thing I want to point out here is that this one, your requirements are an officer of a certain type. You have just the war stat matters, doesn't matter what their intelligence or politics are, and then gold. Down here, you're going to need 2 of your officer attributes. Doesn't matter what type of officer they are because it's political skills and not tactical skills. But they're going to need 2 different attributes to be at a certain level. So it's going to be leader plus intelligence for tools, politics plus leader for convoy, etc. So unless you can keep a really super talented corps of officers in this city with the 2 academies, which I tend to think of as being your capital city. Your capital city is technically wherever your ruler is. But it can be frustrating. You'll find yourself wanting to put your best officers out on the frontier where there's likely to be battle and where you really want to have even your best political officers you want to have out there because you want a lot of troop well, you want guys with high leadership out there so you can have troops coming in. But then you'll find yourself not being able to research stuff. You'll be like, okay, I got level 2 income, I'm ready for level 3. And the poll and leadership required went up, and suddenly you realize that, oh, I don't have 2 officers with high enough leadership average to research the next, even though I have enough gold. So there are decisions to be made. Sometimes if you're trying to max out a unit type, I'll go for like breakneck speed to work on getting that unit type good, because I will probably have to have my 2 best infantry generals. To have 2 generals who are both infantry and both have war scores high enough to take these things up to level 4 or 5, you probably have 2 of your very best generals hanging around in the city with the academy. And by the time you get into these high levels, the city with the academy is probably no longer on your front line. So you have to make some decisions about where you're going to put people, etc. So yeah, the system works in a reasonably interesting way. This is not how I'd normally do it, but I think what I might go for is income first, then cost. Usually I would do raise and then income. Let's do income first. Thank you, Tsatso. So those 2 are at work. I still have 2 people I need to put to work. So can we search for officers? If there's anybody good to be found, Junyu is going to be the man. High intelligence score and higher ability. So we should be able to pick up some of these. These are, as you can probably tell from their... I don't think he is. Oh, Huchi Air. Hey, but he's working for somebody else. But yeah, these are a bunch of sort of survivors from the Yellow Turban Rebellion that you can hire. Like, for example, I believe this guy was a Yellow Turban who ended up being recruited by... This guy definitely got recruited by Guan Yu. So there are guys who were bandits with the Yellow Turbans who sort of reformed and became, you know, Dudiak men, good guys. So let's try to get Hei Yi, assuming that's his actual name and it's not just abbreviated. Or we could get her working on it. See, she's got a 40% chance for him and no chance for anyone else, because her intelligence score is only 75. You know, certainly well above average. But Jun Yu, one of the lead strategists for Cao Cao's force, very high intelligence score, very good chance of getting him, and an outside chance of being able to get these guys. So we'll put him to work on Hei Yi. And what can we do with her? Is she really going to do any good here? Maybe we just automate. And it will put her there if we automate. But what happens if I came over here and hit automate? It'll keep her over there. Okay, so the game wants me to have her hanging out at the plot, which controls the effectiveness of our plans and has something to do with preventing enemy plans from working on us. And it is easily the part of the game that I am the most vague about, is how this facility works. And that's one of the reasons why I can handle easy mode and normal mode fine by just building big armies and steamrolling over people, but you get into hard mode and the tactics that, you know, control, like that you can cut off reinforcements so that you can have 2 cities worth of troops attacking only 1 city. And these are what you're supposed to be able to use to control that and prevent the computer from using it against you. And I don't know how to do it, and it's a problem sometimes. So we're all good to go here. We got 16 officers here, and only 7 of them are at work, so that's pretty much unacceptable. I thought didn't I move a bunch of people? Maybe I didn't save, but I thought my whole thing was that I moved. Are they en route? No, I got all these guys who are just not... Nah, crap. Alright, well. So I got 16 officers here. I thought I had sent them over to Junyu City, but... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... That's 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I had 16. If I sent 8, then that city that Juju's at is going to have 9 officers. This one will have 8. You know what? I'll actually I'll leave you here. I'll send the rest of you guys over to Juju City, but I meant to do that last turn. So I kind of screwed that up. It still says I have 16, but now if I go to govern, you'll see I've only got these 2 guys who aren't assigned. What are you working on, buddy? You are trying to do anything you can, but now, yeah, you can't hire any of those guys. Crap. And that's with an intelligence of 92, so it's not likely that anybody else is going to be able to do any better. Let's automate. And now we've got everybody working. Oh, good. Guojia is now able to do something other than work the farm, which is nice. And this city, which I thought I'd be able to assign people at, but I guess I screwed up last time. Did I? I must have loaded the wrong save. I think I loaded the wrong, or an early save. At any rate, I spent so much time talking about the... I did get Souths out of this city. Oh, whatever. I confused the hell out of myself here. So I've got 3 markets, a barracks. I need to at a minimum, especially because we're on... we got hostiles on the border. I want to get a guard post. I want to get the plot. The warrant. So I got a guard post and a plot. Sometimes a good idea to build a smith. But I don't necessarily bother to build smiths in every city. And it's going to be a while before I can really research siege weapons. I mean, it's just not high on my priority list right now. Did I leave room for a smith here? No. This is a city that could probably get a smith eventually, though. I'm not going to worry about a smith now. I'll tear down like a farm or a market or something and build a smith here if I decide I want one. So, with that being said, we don't have a finder here either. We'll need one of those to look for officers. And then anything that's left over after that I use for barracks. They put him to work at the market when I automated, but I don't approve of that. I'm going to put him to work at the barracks. Right now, if we get attacked, he's the only general here. We'll be in real trouble. In the meantime, we have a... What strategies do we have? Employ and inspire. I gotta go back and look at the last video. I'm wondering if I didn't screw something up here. I spent most of this video explaining how the... research works, so I don't feel like I wasted the video, but I might end up starting the next video having loaded a slightly different spot. Let's acquire a strategy, though. Let's acquire the Plunder Strategy, because the Plunder Strategy is a pretty good one to spam. Now, there are various strategies. You can see most of them are grayed out because they all have requirements similar to research. you'd need, in our case, how much gold have we got? We've got less, we've just barely got 1,000 gold. So it might not really be that great an idea to work on a strategy at all. We might want to just hold on until we got a little bit more gold to spend. But there are strategies that we can use to get more gold, like this gold. Get troops, tactics, money according to fame. Plunder is a good cheap strategy. The problem is you need 3 officers to develop a strategy, and you need different skills. You can't get the food strategy unless one of your 3 officers has the farm strategy. Some of them you need more than one, but a really good one, you require somebody who has the ride strategy, some kind of good cavalry officer, is Plunder. So we see all these different strategies. You can get food, tactics, money according to fame. And this one, you steal troops, tactics, and money from enemy cities. So cities that border you, we would end up stealing from... Maybe it's only that border the capital city. I forget how that works. We'd be stealing from Yuan Shao for sure, but we might be stealing also from these guys. I mean, Lu Bu and Liu Bei, and these guys whose names are cut off and I don't remember very well. But considering how much money we've got, we probably want to just hold off, actually, on the whole strategy thing until we got a little bit more money coming. And at this point, I've been at this for like half an hour, and it would take a while to explain strategies anyway. We could use employ to widen the scope of our recruitment zone. I don't know why it won't let us use inspire. Oh, I know why it won't let us use inspire. That's an in-battle strategy. Never mind. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and end the turn. Even though, what is it telling me about Zhu Chang? What's wrong with Zhu Chang? I got 8 officers and they're all at work. So what's the big idea? Alright, we're in the turn. Zitong Fa Zhen. I think that means they've... I don't know what that is. Fa Zhen has become an officer of Liu Zhang. They discovered Fa Zhen in Zitong, and he joined Liu Zhang's force. Something happened that I can't understand. And Guo Jia wants to explain the officer loyalty and reward system. We'll do that real briefly before we end the video. Well, actually, you know what? That seems like something to do in the next video. Alright, folks, when we come back, Guo Jia is going to explain to us how officer loyalty and payment works. He being one of the officers who is not happy with his pay. So he'll explain it to us as best he can, but it'll be in Japanese. So I'll explain it to you as best I can, which is undeniably not as good as he can explain it. But you're going to have to settle. I'm Mysterious JG. I'd like to thank you guys very much for watching. Please join me next time for more Romance of Three Kingdoms 12. Bye.